When it comes to some Lions fans, and also for a lot of other people around the NFL, many people think the Lions are going to take a step back. But again, I've got news for them. It's going to be our time to shine. We're going to talk about it, so don't you dare go away.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. So, folks, I'm telling you this right now. I truly believe that despite everything that's happened this offseason, despite what happened at the end of last year, that 2025 is going to be the Lions' time to shine. And I also believe that not only is it going to be the Lions' time to shine, as my title states, I believe that this is when Holmes is going to establish the next dynasty. Now, why do I think that? Well, there is a large and encompassing deep amount of reasons as to why I believe that's the case. Now, I'm not at all overlooking the fact that other teams are getting better as well. I'm not overlooking the fact that we've got a lot of competition in our own division and conference. That's not escaped my notice. But again, we have to understand that this team last year, where it was at, what it was able to do, was something that nobody even thought they were going to do in 2024. This team, I think, surpassed a whole hell of a lot of expectations as far as how well it functioned, how well it was able to perform, the efficiency, the explosiveness that it was able to perform, not only on offense, but also especially on defense. So let's take a look at that and understand exactly why I believe that this is when Brad Holmes is going to really make it all work. We're first going to start with the offense. Again, I know a lot of people look at the offense and they're like, listen, we're not worried about the offense. We know what the offense can do. But you have to understand what the offense can do in relation to the entire picture to understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. Which it all starts with Jared Goff. And when we're talking about Jared Goff, we cannot for a single second overlook the impact that I have stated before. I will state again now, and I will state again into the future, that David Shaw and John Morton are going to have. I truly believe 110% that those two guys are going to have an enormous impact on Jared Goff and this offense in terms of its explosive factor than freaking Johnson ever could. Again, let's take a look at what Jared Goff was able to do from multiple perspectives last year. It's going to kind of be a little bit of a rapid fire session when it comes to this because we're going to talk about a lot of stats and I'm going to try and break them down as fast as I can. Not just Goff, but other people. Let's take a look at Goff really quickly. If you go back to 2024, Goff was a top 3 quarterback statistically. He was number 2 in pass completion percentage, number 2 in passing yards. He was number 2 in pass average per throw. He was number 4 in passing touchdowns. He was 3rd in terms of pass touchdown percentage per throw. He was 2nd in passer rating, and he was 6th in QBR. I mean, again, I've said it before, I'll say it again here really quickly. When you put up numbers like that, that is not just all because of what the offensive coordinator was doing. That is more so based upon how the quarterback is going up to the line, looking at things pre-snap, during the snap, and post-snap to understand what a defense is trying to do to him, and then he exploits that to his advantage. But there's more to what Goff provides. There's also the thing that he is by far the best quarterback in the NFL at. Play action passing. Again, you take a look at Goff last year. I've said it before, I'll say it again. He is the king of play action passing. And last year, absolutely, completely solidified that argument. He was 2nd in the NFL last year in pass completion off of play action. Number 1 in pass yards off of play action. Tied second in pass average per throw off of play action. Tied second in passing touchdowns off of play action. Ranked 4th in touchdown percentage per throw off of play action. And ranked 3rd in passer rating off of play action. Again, that combination of numbers tells me that not only is Goff doing his job exceedingly well when it comes to the play action, but it's also a great job by the offensive line. It's a great job by the receivers. It's a great job by the running backs because they're all working together as one synchronized unit to make sure that the play action game works to its top level. And we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. But the other thing that I've not talked about before with Goff is just how damn good he was when it comes to the second half of football games. Again, what's that saying in football? It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. When you take a look at Goff in the second half of his games, in terms of his game splits from last year, he completed 72.3% of his passes in the second half, almost 2,400 passing yards, had 21 touchdowns, a 7.8, almost 8% touchdown percentage per throw. He had 7 interceptions, a 2.6 interception percentage per throw, but he had also a 114 passer rating in the second half, and obviously he had 4 fourth quarter comebacks, which if I recall correctly was tied for second most in the league. Again, all of those numbers are better than his first half stats, which think about it. As the game went on longer, as the game got further into, Goff got better. And not just better, he got exponentially better. So the issue of coming out starting flat in 2023 in the second half was absolutely completely fixed in 2024. Now, why are all those stats important? They're important because of how they relate to the other components of the offense. Let's take a look at the rushing component, which obviously for that, we're primarily going to talk about Gibbs. I'm not overlooking what Monty can do, but let's be honest with ourselves. After what Gibbs did last year, he's going to be the full-time starter. Gibbs is going to be the guy that gets the majority of the handoffs, even though Monty's going to get a very good share as well, but Gibbs has permanently established himself as the number 1 running back. And the stats provide a picture as to why. If you take a look at Gibbs' numbers as an overall rusher from 2024, he was ranked tied 11th in terms of total rushing attempts, but he was ranked 5th in overall rushing yards, 5th in rush average per run. He was tied first for rushing touchdowns, ranked 2nd in rush touchdown percentage per rush, and he was ranked 7th in rushing first downs. Again, that was primarily still splitting the majority of the time with Monty until Monty got injured, and he still finished as a top 5, top 10 running back last year, statistically. But then I started looking even deeper at what Gibbs was able to provide last year. Take a look at these. When you take a look at how Gibbs was running on 1st and 10 for the Detroit Lions, so it's 1st and 10 and he's given the ball running-wise. He had 121 rushes, almost ran for 800 yards, had a 6.4 average per rush on 1st and 10, 4 touchdowns with a 3.3 touchdown percentage per rush, and had 21 first downs when it was 1st and 10. So think about that. 21 times that he was given the ball on 1st and 10, he was able to pick up another 10 yards and get a first down. That's impressive. But it gets even better than that. I then took a look at how Gibbs did when there was a 10-plus yard, down in distance. So it didn't matter if it was first down or not. It could have been 2nd and 11. It could have been 3rd and 12, whatever the thunder it was. Gibbs looked even better. He had 146 rushes for 870 yards, 871 to be exact, 6 an average a rush, 4 rushing touchdowns, 2.7 touchdown percentage per rush, and 23 first down rushes. So again, think about that. When you have 10 plus yards or more that you have to pick up a first down, and freaking he's getting the first down on 23 of those times that he's handed the ball, dude, that's just ridiculous. And the reason why I talk about Gibbs is because going back to the play action talk that I just had about Goff, when you have a running back that's this damn explosive, this damn prolific, this damn good at picking up first downs, it's going to make that play action game just that much more deadly, that much more lethal. But when we're talking about Gibbs, we have to talk about the new running backs coach, which is Tashard Choice. Again, Tashard Choice worked with Gibbs in, I think it was 2021 when he was still at Georgia Tech before he transferred over to Georgia. Or sorry, not Georgia, Alabama. My bad. Wrong place. My apologies to everybody that got mad at me there for a second. But think about this. When Tashard Choice was the running backs coach at Georgia Tech, in 2023, they had the third best rushing offense in the NCAA in rushing yards per game. They almost had 204 rushing yards per game. Now, in 2024, it took a bit of a drop. It went down to 32, and they were only getting 187 yards per game. But still, think about that. There are how many freaking teams in the NCAA that are competing every year, like 140? The fact that freaking Tashard Choice as a running backs coach was able to make that much of a difference at Georgia Tech, and now he's coming back to pair with his former running back, who's behind one of the better offensive lines. He's probably one of the best running backs in the NFL, and he has a top 3 quarterback to work with. Oh, dude, I can only imagine the just sheer dominance that we're going to have running the ball and play action with the ball. It's just going to be absolutely beautiful to watch. Now, obviously, when we're talking about that, we also have to talk about the receiving element, which brings us to our top 3 receivers, which is obviously J-Mo, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Sam Laporta. Now, what I'm going to do to make this go by a little bit faster is I'm going to put a little Excel spreadsheet up on the screen so that way you guys can see all the numbers. What you're going to notice is that last year, the Lions had 2 1,000-yard receivers. They had 3 guys that were getting over 11 in average a catch or reception. You're seeing guys that each had over 10% touchdown per reception that they got. They also were extremely high in first down percentage per reception. The lowest was Amon-Ra St. Brown at 63.5%. And each one of them was also very high in catching the amount of receptions versus targets they got. You're talking about 64% virtually across the board or higher in terms of reception percentage. You're talking about 64% or higher virtually when it comes to everybody when first down percentage. And you're talking about 10.5% points or higher when it comes to touchdown percentage per reception. You're talking about a 3-headed receiving monster last year that was just absolutely impossible to stop for the most part. And that's not even factoring in Tim Patrick coming back and pretty much taking over the role that Josh Reynolds had, which I fully expect he is going to fully, envelop and make his own this year because he's coming back for his second year. So again, whether it's the passing element, whether it's the rushing element, whether it's the receiving element, our offense is primed and ready to go because I'm going to just put this out there for you. You want to know when the last time the Lions had a 1,000-yard receiving duo was? It was 2017. So think about that. 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. It took us nearly 7 years until we got another 1,000-yard receiving duo. And I believe the Lions are going to have it again in 2025. They might just even get to a 3 1,000-yard trio, but we'll see. Now, to finish it all off offensively, we're going to take a look at the blocking element. And again, much like I did with the receivers, just to kind of speed this along, I'm going to put it up on an Excel spreadsheet. What you're going to notice is that overall, the offensive line last year did pretty well when it came to the grading components. The only the only person that did not, which everybody already knows, was Graham Glasgow. And I've acknowledged this. Graham Glasgow had a down year last year. But again, I'm very confident that Glasgow is going to have a bounce back year in 2025. Because Glasgow, even though he had a down year, if he were to hit the free agency market, he would have no problem finding suitors because he's still considered one of the better guards in the NFL. But the bigger conversation to have is how well Christian Mahogany did in his short little stints while he was filling in for Kevin Zeitler. Mahogany did 80 across the board, overall, pass, and run. That tells me that in just his small sample size, he should be able to fill in rather well for what Zeitler did last year. So as far as I'm concerned, the offensive line is in a pretty good spot. The only area we're probably going to have to pay a little bit of attention to is what Glasgow does. But again, like I said, I expect he will do just fine and he will have a bounce back year. So that's the offense. Now, obviously, the offense does not really need anything added to it. It's the defense. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. The defense, really the only thing it needs is another competent edge rusher. And I believe, as I said earlier in my previous episode today, that Brad Holmes is going to make that happen come the draft. But think about this, folks. That defense last year was literally decimated, just absolutely completely eviscerated with absolutely a ton of injuries. But yet, how well did that defense do last year? Take a look at PFF. PFF last year had the Lions defense graded 5th best overall, 12th best in run defense, 2nd best in tackling, 8th best in pass rush, and 7th best in coverage. Now, I know some people are going to be like, well, David, that pass rush does not really reflect what happened last year. Oh, but I think it does, because pass rush doesn't just mean sacks. It means the ability to hurry, to knock down the quarterback, to pressure. It encompasses all of that stuff, which, when talking about that, there are some important numbers you definitely need to pay attention to when we're having this conversation. Not just for the pass rush, but also for the entire defense. I'm going to talk about these numbers really quickly and put them in the context of what we're having in this conversation. Last year, as I put the numbers up on the screen, just remember this. The Lions were 7th in points allowed, 10th in total turnovers, tied 2nd in passing touchdowns given up, tied 5th in total interceptions garnered. They were 2nd best in the NFL in completion percentage given up. They were number 1 in passer rating given up. They were 7th in quarterback hits. They were 5th in rushing yards given up, 4th in rushing first downs given up, 10th in scoring drive percentage allowed on defense, 7th in turnover percentage per drive, 2nd in quarterback hurries, tied 3rd in quarterback knockdowns, 4th in quarterback pressures, and they were 6th in missed tackles. What do all of those numbers tell me? This is what it tells me. It tells me that despite the fact the Lions were literally a walking mash unit because of how extremely injury depleted they were last year, they were still a force to be reckoned with. This is why I've continued to say so many times that the defense doesn't need a massive overhaul. What it needs is just another good damn edge rusher, and it just needs the defense to be healthy, opposite of what it was last year. Because think about this. If you step back and you get off of all this edge rushing craze and all of this overhaul nonsense, the Lions defense is returning virtually all the damn starters it had last year. The only exception to that rule is Carlton Davis III. So think about it. If the defense is actually able to stay healthy and was able to do all that last year despite missing how many starters on IR? I think it was 16, 15, something like that. I'm telling you this right now. A healthy defense with all of its starters returning, and it did that last year, this defense is going to terrorize opposing offenses. Because let's just consider this. DJ Reed is a better cornerback than Carlton Davis. Terrion Arnold is going to take a massive step forward this year. We still have 2 all-pro safeties back there in Branch and Kirby Joseph. Hutchinson is going to return with a damn vengeance. McNeil is also going to return with a damn vengeance, as well as Derek Barnes, as well as Rodrigo. Kind of goes along with what I just said about all the guys being out on injured reserve. And then, to reflect once again on my previous episode from today, the Lions are going to get a top edge rusher to pair opposite and rotate with Hutchinson to, again, allow us to keep a fresh edge rushing component, which is going to provide a top-notch pass rush, not just getting to the quarterback and pressuring him, knocking him down and hurrying him, but actually getting more sacks, which in turn is going to help out a freaking pass defense last year that while it gave up a lot of yards, what was that again? Oh, that's right. It was ranked number 1 in passer rating given up, and it was ranked number 2 in completion percentage given up. Oh, and by the way, it was tied 5th in the amount of interceptions it garnered. Now, granted, that was mostly Kirby Joseph. But when you've got 2 guys on both of the cornerback positions, and Terry Arnold and DJ Reed, who I expect are going to do well, you've then got Rakestraw, you've then got Robertson, you've then got a good amount of quality depth behind that, and then you take a look at everything else that's also got a good amount of quality depth. When you put all that together, so long as freaking Holmes is able to continue to keep the gang all together, which I fully expect he is going to, this is what I call the beginning of the dynasty. This is why I fully expect that the Lions will not only win this year, but so long as they keep the gang together, which is exactly what the Lions are trying to do, and they're doing a very damn good job of it, they will win multiple times. I know it takes time, and I know that for some Lions fans, they are not interested in having time being used to put everything together. But when you step back and you look at what Holmes is doing, you take a look at the work he's putting in, it all makes damn sense as to what he's doing and why he's doing it the way he's doing it. I'm telling you, this is the start of something beautiful. But anyway, you do with this information what you will. But I am 100% convinced, and I'm trying my best to convince everybody else, the Lions are about to start a run, and they are going to run the table for quite a while. Having said that, I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these 3 things, like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, I want to highly encourage y'all, please make sure you hit that bell notification icon so that way you guys never miss any more content I push out. Also want to encourage y'all, please, to share this content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you possibly can. And with that, I just want to say I hope y'all got something from this content. I hope y'all are able to learn something. Hope y'all are able to think about something a little bit different, because that's what I truly want you guys to get away with, take away from these episodes. Whether it's the first time you're watching me, you guys have been watching me since the very beginning. I also hope that everybody has something in their life that makes them happy, makes them smile. God bless, my friends, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.